Thank you for your time. Each subscription is a sign of support that I truly appreciate.
The Mississippi reflects flames. Dawn breaks over Fort Jackson. Confederate gunners scan dark water nervously. Somewhere beyond the bend, Flag Officer David Farragut's fleet waits in silence. Tonight changes everything. History pivots on this river. I watch cotton bales tower along our wharves. We count gold, confident. Ladies stroll beneath oak trees. No one believes Yankees can penetrate upriver. Our fortresses stand impregnable. Tomorrow, I'll realize how wrong we were. Alone on Hartford's deck, Farragut studies maps by lantern. 60 years old, a Tennessean commanding Union ships against former neighbors. His hands tremble. Tomorrow he betrays everything familiar. Duty demands this impossible choice. 70 miles south, two stone fortresses choke the river like a vice. Fort Jackson commands the west bank. Fort St. Philip, the east. 140 cannons aim downriver. Confederate officers toast their impregnability, confident no fleet survives this gauntlet. Picture this. Mortar schooners have pounded both forts 6 days straight. Commander Porter's vessels hurl 13-inch shells in arcing trajectories. Explosions shake swamps continuously. Yet Confederate flags still fly defiantly. Walls stand. Bombardment fails completely. Inside Fort Jackson, Lieutenant Colonel Higgins observes another shell explode. Powder magazines threaten ignition. Men huddle in casemates. Water seeps through cracked walls. He counts remaining ammunition. How long? His journal records no answer, only dread accumulating. Farragut knows bombardment won't work. He must run the gauntlet, steam past under concentrated fire. His captains call it suicide, wooden ships against stone. But Washington demands New Orleans immediately. Farragut chooses audacity over sense. I watch a fire raft drift toward us. Flames leap 50 feet high. My sailors scramble with boat hooks. The blazing hulk passes within yards of Hartford's hull. I calculate tomorrow's odds calmly. Mathematics be damned. Captain Bailey walks Hartford's gun deck. Young sailors clean cannons, hands shaking. Many never faced combat. Bailey stops before one crew. His voice drops to whisper, "Tomorrow, we make history, or die trying. Either way, courage, boys." Confederate Commander Mitchell positions his improvised fleet. 14 vessels, including ironclad Louisiana. Incomplete, engines broken, barely floating. He chains her as floating battery. This magnificent weapon, reduced to stationary target. Pride dies before battle starts. Down in Hartford's engine room, Chief Engineer Thomas hears explosions through iron plates. He piles coal bags around boilers, whispering prayers. One Confederate shell through this wall, instant death for everyone below. Thomas bargains with God between each sandbag. Night falls April 23rd. 17 warships prepare silently. Anchors raised, engines banked, gun crews stationed. No lights, no talking. Only rivers whisper and beating hearts. 2 hours until signal. 2 hours until everything changes forever. I write my wife. Tomorrow brings the test. We cannot fail. Louisiana depends upon us. If I fall, know I stood firm. I seal the letter carefully, doubting she'll ever read these words. Listen to Farragut's orders. Whatever is to be done will have to be done quickly. Simple words, enormous stakes. He's heard all opinions, dismissed all caution. Now comes action. Notice how great commanders simplify chaos into clarity. 2 o'clock, morning, April 24th. USS Cayuga leads. Captain Baker peers into darkness. Fort Jackson's outline emerges suddenly. Flash, thunder, irons screaming overhead. The bombardment begins instantly. Baker orders full speed. No retreat possible now. Hartford follows center column. Explosions erupt everywhere. Water geysers 50 feet high. Shell fragments ring against chains. Sailors crouch behind bulwarks. Farragut climbs rigging to see better. His officers beg him down. He refuses completely. Confederate gunner Reynolds loads, fires mechanically. Smoke blinds him. Cannon barrel glows red hot. Union ships emerge from darkness like ghost vessels. So many. More than intelligence reported. Reynolds keeps loading. What else remains? USS Pensacola takes fire from both forts simultaneously. Captain Morris sees his mainmast splinter and collapse. Rigging falls everywhere. Men scream. He steers closer to Fort St. Philip. Better one enemy. His guns thunder point-blank range. Mutual destruction begins. The Confederate ram Manassas attacks low, almost invisible. She strikes Brooklyn's hull hard. Wood cracks. Water pours in. Brooklyn's captain orders evasive maneuvers. The ram circles for another strike. Predator hunting wounded prey through darkness. Fire rafts drift downstream. Confederates chained burning vessels together. Walls of flame block channels.
If your birthday is this month, make sure to subscribe and leave a like, my friend. And tell me in the comments what topic you'd like to hear next.
Union ships thread between infernos or run aground. Paintwork blisters. Deck planks smoke. Men drench everything with pumps. Hell floats toward them. Bailey aboard Cayuga engages Governor Moore directly, broadside to broadside, 60 feet apart. Muzzle flashes illuminate faces clearly. Men see who they're killing. Bailey's crew fires faster. Governor Moore's captain dies at his wheel, eyes open. Hartford grounds on mud shoal, stuck fast. Current holds her immobile. Fort St. Philip concentrates every gun on this motionless target. Shells tear through hull. Splinters become wooden shrapnel. Blood pools on deck. Farragut's flagship becomes sitting duck. A fire raft collides with grounded Hartford. Flames engulf portside completely. Fire reaches rigging. Sailors form bucket brigades desperately. Farragut moves through flames, directing efforts. His uniform smolders. He absolutely refuses abandoning ship. Officers stare, astonished. Lieutenant Commander Wainwright organizes engine crew. Full reverse, then forward, rocking the vessel rhythmically. Slowly, Hartford breaks free from mud. She backs, away from fire raft. Flames die out gradually. They're moving again. Farragut nods once. I race ahead in Varuna, fastest ship. We outdistance everyone recklessly. I engage 2 Confederate vessels alone. Governor Moore and Stonewall ram us from opposite sides simultaneously. Water rushes through gaping holes. We're sinking fast. Boggs refuses surrender absolutely. Varuna's guns fire even as she settles. Sailors abandon ship only when water reaches gun ports. Boggs leaves last, watching his command disappear beneath brown water. 15 minutes, birth to death complete. Ironclad Louisiana fires wildly, chained, helpless. Her guns traverse but vessel can't maneuver. Union ships ignore her, steaming past beyond effective range. Commander Mitchell curses incomplete engines bitterly. His most powerful weapon sits utterly useless. By dawn, 12 Union warships passed both forts. 5 turned back damaged, none sunk. Farragut counts his fleet in growing daylight. Smoke-blackened, torn sails, splintered wood, but intact. The impossible just happened. Mathematics failed. Inside Fort Jackson, Colonel Higgins surveys the damage around him. Walls cracked and leaning. Magazine flooded with river water. Worse, enemy sailed past. All this sacrifice for nothing. Men stare at empty water upstream. New Orleans lies exposed 70 miles away, completely undefended now. Confederate General Lovell arrives at New Orleans levee as news comes. Farragut broke through. Nothing stands between Union ships and city. Lovell orders military supplies destroyed immediately. Cotton bales burn along wharves. Warehouses explode. The city's wealth becomes ash. I face terrible choice. Should Louisiana remain chained, fighting hopelessly, or destroy her, preventing capture? My crew argues fiercely. Some want fighting. Others see pointless death ahead. I must decide everything now. The unfinished ironclad Mississippi sits in dry dock. Builders worked months on this behemoth, the South's answer to Union power. Now Lovell orders her burned completely. Thousands of man-hours turn to smoke. Dreams sink with charred timbers. At Fort Jackson's artillery positions, Captain Stevenson confronts mutiny. His men refuse further orders outright. 6 days bombardment, watching Union ships sail past. They've had enough. Stevenson pleads, threatens, argues desperately. Men turn away. Mutiny spreads like fever through garrison. Young Confederate sailor Jackson moves across Louisiana's deck. Mitchell gives order. Abandon ship, set demolition charges. Jackson helps lay powder trails through ironclad. His hands shake uncontrollably. This magnificent vessel, destroyed by its own crew deliberately. Farragut's fleet steams upriver toward New Orleans. Smoke from burning cotton visible for miles. Citizens crowd levee silently. Some weep, others curse. A few cheer secretly. The city's capture becomes inevitable hourly. Mayor Monroe receives Farragut's surrender demand. "The city is yours by force," Monroe writes back. "But I cannot formally surrender. Legal technicality postpones inevitable humiliation. Politicians hide behind words, even when cannons have spoken clearly." Bailey and Lieutenant Perkins row ashore under white flag. Angry crowds gather menacingly. "Hang them!" someone shouts. A man spits at Bailey. Police struggle maintaining order. Bailey walks calmly through hatred towards City Hall, expression unchanged. Inside City Hall, Bailey delivers Farragut's ultimatum: surrender immediately or face bombardment. Mayor Monroe stalls, debates, argues endlessly. Bailey remains firm. "My commander's patience has limits," he says quietly. Outside, mob grows louder, demanding Northern blood. Private O'Brien guards City Hall's entrance. Irish immigrant, Union uniform, surrounded by screaming Confederates. His rifle shakes visibly. One man lunges forward aggressively. O'Brien raises weapon. Officers pull attacker back. Inches from catastrophe, seconds from massacre. Farragut positions Hartford's guns towards city. 15-inch shells loaded, lanyards held ready. He sends final warning ashore. Monroe still refuses formal surrender. Farragut orders, haul down every Confederate flag in New Orleans, by force if necessary. Lieutenant Couts marches Marines into New Orleans streets. They advance to Mint, where Louisiana's state flag flies. Hostile crowd follows closely. Couts climbs building, tears down flag, raises stars and stripes. Someone fires shot. Couts descends, untouched, miraculously. William Mumford, local gambler, cuts down Union flag after Couts leaves. Citizens cheer wildly. Mumford waves flag mockingly. He believes occupation ends soon. He cannot imagine Farragut's coming response to this defiance. Fatal miscalculation.
Thank you for your time. Each subscription is a sign of support that I truly appreciate.
Fort Jackson finally surrenders April 28th. Colonel Higgins signs capitulation papers with shaking hand. Artillery sits silent. Powder exhausted, walls crumbling, men demoralized, mutinous. The Mississippi River belongs entirely to Union forces now. The Confederacy splits in half. Mitchell personally lights Louisiana's fuse. Ironclad drifts downstream toward Fort St. Philip. Men observe from shore silently. Massive explosion tears her apart violently. Iron plates fly like leaves. Water erupts. The South's greatest ironclad disappears completely. General Benjamin Butler arrives governing occupied New Orleans. Harsh, uncompromising, nicknamed Beast by locals. Within weeks, he arrests William Mumford for tearing down the Union flag. After trial, Mumford hangs. New Orleans learns federal authority demands absolute obedience. I write in my diary, "The fall of New Orleans felt like losing your mother. The Confederacy's commercial heart stopped beating. Everything became harder. We believed those forts impregnable. Now nothing seems safe anymore." On Hartford's deck, Farragut observes Union soldiers marching through New Orleans streets below. He's achieved the impossible. Yet friends and relatives serve in Confederate armies elsewhere. War tears families apart. Victory tastes bitter when the enemy was once your neighbor. Former slaves emerge from hiding cautiously. They approach Union lines. Soldiers don't know what to do. Lincoln hasn't declared emancipation yet. Are these people contraband? Refugees? Future soldiers? Freedom begins uncertainly in occupied streets. In Richmond, Jefferson Davis receives telegram. New Orleans lost. Mississippi River compromised. Cotton exports cut completely. European recognition becomes more distant. Davis understands immediately. War's trajectory just changed dramatically. Defeat grows more possible daily. In Washington, Lincoln reads Farragut's victory dispatch and pounds his desk with joy. He promotes the admiral immediately. First rear admiral in American naval history. "This Tennessean chose country over birthplace," Lincoln says quietly. "Such loyalty deserves recognition beyond words." Confederate General Beauregard spreads maps across his table in Mississippi. Farragut controls New Orleans. Grant advances down Mississippi from north. Soon they'll link. Confederacy will be severed. Western states cut off. Supplies strangled. Beauregard sees catastrophe unfolding inevitably. Cotton factors in Liverpool wait for ships that won't arrive. New Orleans cotton fueled English mills. Now warehouses stand empty, workers idle. British neutrality hardens. Without cotton, Confederate diplomacy loses leverage completely. Economic warfare succeeds. Quartermaster clerks in Washington redraw maps frantically. New Orleans opens everything: Gulf access, river routes, supply lines penetrating Confederate heartland. One young mapmaker realizes he's drawing the Confederacy's division. His brother fights in Georgia. The split becomes personal. I write my after-action report. We lost vessel but achieved objective. 15 minutes of combat for control of Mississippi River. I'd make that trade again without hesitation. Some prices are worth paying. Private Sullivan survived Fort Jackson's bombardment. He writes his wife again. We fought well, but numbers overwhelmed us completely. Honor remains intact, even in surrender. I'll come home now. Hold our children close. This war costs too much. Inside his ruined fort, Lieutenant Colonel Higgins prepares final orders. Officers burn papers and spike guns. Magazines flood with river water. Everything built defending New Orleans becomes debris. Higgins feels neither shame nor pride, only exhaustion. He followed orders. Orders weren't enough, ultimately. Farragut's adopted son, Loyal, serves on Hartford. Father and son fought together through fire and smoke. Loyal watches his father's weathered face. 60 years old, commanding through flames without flinching. Some men are simply made differently. Confederate sailor Jackson walks away from Louisiana's wreckage. He enlisted, believing in cause and glory. Now he trudges north with nothing. No ship, no supplies, no illusions. War continues elsewhere. He continues with it. What other choice exists? Dr. Letterman treats wounded from both sides. Union sailor with shattered leg lies beside Confederate gunner with chest wound. Both scream identically. Blood flows same color. Letterman operates methodically, seeing only broken bodies needing repair. Emma Dunbar observes Union troops patrol New Orleans streets. Her husband fights with Lee's army in Virginia. Her sons hide in attic, military age, avoiding conscription. She feeds family on dwindling supplies. War reshapes normal life into daily survival. 6 months later, Vicksburg falls. Grant's army and Farragut's navy divide Confederacy completely. Mississippi runs unvexed to the sea, Lincoln declares. Everything traces back to that April night. 17 ships steaming through fire toward impossible victory. Historians debate, was Farragut's success luck or brilliance? Wrong question. It was will. The determination to attempt what others called suicide. Leadership that turned wooden ships into weapons through sheer audacity. Some victories require unreasonable courage. David Farragut returns to New Orleans in 1865. War is ending. He walks levees where crowds once threatened his officers. Children wave flags. Former enemies nod respectfully. Conquest becomes peace gradually, painfully, through patience beyond warfare. Decades later, veterans gather in New Orleans. Former Union and Confederate sailors shake hands on the levee where they once fought. Old men remember youth and terror, fire and smoke, impossible odds overcome. They survived history's pivot point together. Here's what matters. One April night, impossible became real. Stone fortresses failed. Rivers flowed to Union control. A war changed direction permanently. Remember sailors who steamed through fire. Remember that audacity sometimes defeats everything logic predicts.
Thank you for your time. Each subscription is a sign of support that I truly appreciate.